I would request, I would start off the first panel. I would like to invite Professor K. Lal Kishore, the Honorable Vice Chancellor of JNTU Anantapur, to please come on the dais as a panelist. I would request Dr. M.C. Dilip Kumar, Honorable Vice Chancellor of Sri Shankaracharya University of Sanskrit, to also join us in this engaging deliberation. I would also like to invite Professor S. Sadagopan, the Honorable Director of IIIT Bangalore, to give his perspectives. We also have with us Professor M.J. Xavier, Executive Director, VIT University, joining us in this panel. And just to weave this entire deliberation into the technological bucket or the technological perspective, I would like to request Mr. Kannan Natarajan from Campus Management Corp to join us in this deliberation. Now, before I flag off this deliberation and give it to the panelists, I would request Mr. Kannan Natarajan to hand over the zonal abstracts for the South Zone to all the panelists over here. And I would request my colleague Ravi to just organize this, you can just, to the audience. Because this is the context we just wanted to put up, because just distribute it across. Because this painstaking exercise has somewhere tried to structure the entire deliberation, the entire concerns, key concerns which are going on in the higher education space of the country. I will just quickly take you through to the key findings which have come for the South Zone comprised of Andhra Pradesh, Karnataka, Kerala and Tamil Nadu. So we could see that on the institutional outreach front, 79% of the institutions say that the priority pertaining to expanding institutional outreach is very, very high. Just a mere 29% of the institutions say that the priority does not exist. On the share of budget on institutional outreach, the various means which are being utilized, you will find that in the South Zone, online has taken up a real precedence where 43% of the institutions rank it the highest. And if we link up with the social part of it, another 29% of the institutions are going the social media way to really reach out to the prospective institutions. So this is the change. The conventional print media is just reduced to 29% of the institutions, and electronic media, again, the same quantum of 29%. On the infrastructure forefront, the augmenting the physical infrastructure, 43% of the institutions rank it a very high priority, while 28% still say that this priority does not exist for them. And when we say that, is the existing infrastructure being optimally utilized, somewhere the results have come contrary to the global figures which Raj had just mentioned about, that 100% of the institutions in the Southern Zone say that they are able to manage their infrastructure optimally compared to the global average of 21% which Raj was mentioning. In terms of ranking, very high and high comprise of close to the tune of 60% of the institutions are saying that improving institutional ranking is a high priority for them. If I just take you through the institutional revenue growth part of it, 57% of the institutions in the Southern Zone say that this priority does not exist for them. Now, maybe this is a kind of humility, or maybe this is what, but with the government funds really receding, supporting the higher education, the funding part of it, and education really taking as a root of an industry. So how come these figures are coming? This is something which we would be deliberating further. Maybe this is an overestimate or whatever. Now, in terms of where the revenue will flow from, 86% of the institutions are looking for qualifying under various government schemes. So that is where they are looking for the their revenue sources, their increased revenue sources. On the faculty forefront, the priority pertaining to furthering faculty preparedness zonally, 29% say it is very high, and 57% have said that it is high. just a small fraction of 14% of the institutions have candidly accepted that it is not at all a priority at their institution. In terms of the core evaluation criteria for faculty induction, 70%, 71% of the southern institutions have said that past credentials in terms of research inclination is their topmost criteria for faculty induction. And stellar academic record is just 43% of the institutions say that it is a core evaluation criteria. And in terms of the tools for managing faculty operations, because the role of a faculty is really getting diverse across, so 43% of the campuses say that they have some kind of other tool for managing that. On the placement sides, merely 28% of the institutions say that the priority does not exist. On the research side, again, 43% of the institutions are still in the dark about research in the southern zone. And in terms of the directionality of the research services, maybe this will be very interesting for the representatives from the armed services. 63% of the campuses say that they are involved in applied research. Advanced research is being pursued by only 14% of them. And appropriate research, which is appropriate for the Indian context per se, the village, the rural problems and the other sides of it, 29% of the institutions are interested in that. Documenting the research activities, which is something probably Professor Xavier would be throwing a more light on it, the whole research process, how the new enlightenment will come. That 57% of the institutions have concurred that it is very, very important. And that's how. And on the, I will say, the core superstorm, the core challenges and challengers, on the delivery forefront, almost all the campuses have said that focus has to be laid on curriculum optimization. Curriculum which is centrally controlled at the state technical universities. Professor Kishore would say that how JNTU Anantapur is giving autonomy to its constituent colleges to customize the courses and all. And non-traditional education has been accepted as a top priority by 29% of the institutions. On terms of operational efficiency, probably this is quite interesting or intriguing. Like 57% of the campuses say that the priority pertaining to operational efficiency to reduce cost does not exist. Now, in a world where industry is just trying to work upon a process, and if a make in India has to happen, our manufacturing plants have to get globally competitive. So this kind of a purview in the academic circle is quite alarming somewhere. In terms of internal reporting, 70% of the institutions have adopted email as a predominant methodology, but 43% of the institutions still use the manual paper-based mode of internal reporting. That's an interesting stats which has come across. On the competition front, meeting out the competition, 70% of the institutions have accepted that attracting and retaining quality faculty will help them weed out the growing competition from the other campuses around. And 43% of them say that improving the student experience is something which will help them out. On the governance and the compliance front, 72% of the institutions have laid the emphasis on the need of a content foundation, a record management system across the institution, because that is the basis onto which all kind of ranking and accreditations and other things are really based out of. And almost on the similar count, seamless communication structures across academic and administrative departments have been stressed upon. So these are some of the snippets, the abstracts which we could get from the north. Now, without losing any further time, I would request the entire panel to initiate their opening remarks on the theme of the first session, which we want to lay out as a foundational deliberation as to what they see, what in their opinion are the key challenges and challengers for higher education in 21st century India. I would request all the speakers to open up their remarks in around 5-6 minutes. Once we have completed the whole round of it, we will open the house for comments and questions from the audience, and then we will have a closing remarks. So I request Professor Sadhugopan to initiate.
We should start. Let me start off with a little provocative kind of comment. Peter Drucker once said, 30 years from now, the big university campuses will be relics. Universities won't survive. It is a large change as when we first got the printed book. That is his comment. So Frank Rhodes, he is still more actually, critical about universities. I wonder at times if we are not like the dinosaurs, looking up at the sky at the approaching comet and wondering whether it has an implication for our future. Now, you have looked at some of the trends. Now, in addition to that, there are a few others, I would like to add, as to why, for example, we need to rethink the whole education itself. Now, one of the things is this, lot of the problems highlighted here, it's all because of the disconnect between industry, academia and the government. When John F. Kennedy said that he's going to send a man to the moon and then bring him back safely, I think for the next 10 years, there's a tremendous amount of work that happened in research labs, universities and government institutions. There was funding flowing back and forth, and it was made possible. If you look at medical research today, it has advanced to such a level, and completely it has become evidence-based. Compared to that, engineering education is yet to mature. Still our decisions are very judgmental, qualitative. Now the reason is again this disconnect. So a doctor practices, throws back the problem at the researchers, he teaches. Now unfortunately, you tell me one engineering faculty who consults, works in the industry, or a management faculty who knows what is happening in the field. There's a complete disconnect between what we teach, what they do in the industry, and what the government wants. And I always give this analogy of a bullock cart. So you have, it's like a research and human resource development is like a bullock cart, where actually one bull is the industry, another bull is the institutions, and the driver sitting on the cart, driving it, it's a government, and which has to manage both, and then they have to go together. Unfortunately, in today's context, if you see that, it is still a cart, but not a bullock cart. One side you have a frog, which is the industry pulling you to the water. Other side you have a rat, and that is pulling you into the hole. And on the driver's seat is a snake that is trying to eat up both the rat and the frog. That's the kind of regulations we have in this country. So this is one of the fundamental issues that we need to tackle. Second problem, as I could see, is lack of innovation. I think, from the time we invented chalk piece, I don't think, we have really advanced any further, except probably we have some whiteboards here and there, some projectors, PPT have come, but beyond that, nothing has changed. And there is a complete restructuring that is happening. I don't think, we are oblivious of what is happening in this industry. There is a unbundling that is happening in the educational industry. I don't think many of us are aware of that. Today, it is not necessary for a single university to perform all the tasks. You cannot do that. You look at the business, everything is unbundled. You outsource it. There are different people doing different things. We are good at it, they do that. So today, knowledge creation will happen somewhere. Somebody will actually convert it into a video content. Somebody will actually deliver it. Somebody, the best actor will deliver it. And somebody will assess you. Someone else will certify you. Now, this is going to be the future, and technologies are changing it. And we have not yet adopted. We are still like that, ignorant guy looking at the sky. There's actually, Skylab or something coming, it's going to hit you, and we really don't know where it is going to hit, how we are going to be hit. But we are going to be hit. That much I can really assure you. Then the other major problem is we are over-regulated and under-managed. I don't have to overemphasize on that. Now, lot of these rules are archaic. Now, why do you need 1:15 faculty? Today, if you can use technology, I can deliver, 1:1000. Why don't you allow me to do that? Now, that's a change. Everywhere people are talking about lack of faculty. Why do you need faculty? If you have good faculty, create content, create those, video conferencing platforms, use technology. That's what we have to look at. And we had to unfortunately deal with, all these jokers in UGC, AICT, MCI, all kinds of platforms. It's a big, big headache. And finally, I'm sticking to my time. Biggest problem is actually lack of values and ethics. Now, this is not only among actually students, but also among faculty. You saw the Bihar incident, where parents are climbing several floors to actually, give bits to their children writing exams. And Tamil Nadu is no different. Somebody copied it on WhatsApp and then sent the question paper, answers came in WhatsApp, it was distributed. So we are, using high technology to copy and they are using it. Somehow, the whole culture in the education system is that we have to use shortcuts without studying how to get marks, actually, without working, how to get promotions. Now, this has become the culture in this country. Now, unless we actually correct it at this stage, it's going to be a problem. Now, the worst appalling part, having seen the different parts of the world, I can tell you it is in a pathetic situation. Now, for example, your feedback system. You have a fantastic feedback system. Now, what teachers do, I give you marks, you give me better feedback. There are many colleges I see that everybody has, above 9 score out of 10. Students have above 9, faculty also have above 9. Now, what kind of institutions are these? Grade inflation. Completely unethical kind of practices. And to conclude, basically, I think we need to reinvent. We have to rediscover. I think benchmarking, we have done enough. We have copied enough of the Ivy League models, various things. Of course, even that we have not copied properly. I can tell you, I was teaching in California State University system in 2002 to 4. And the engineering students there, even in those days, I never found them inside the class. It was a 5,000-acre campus. Architecture students were busy building, actually constructing buildings. And the electronic students were busy building, satellites, micro-satellite they were launching. And there were huge exhibitions of products that were made by the students. What are our engineering students doing? They buy the projects from outside, submit it, and then somehow they pay money, get a pass in GRE, and then go abroad. There also they'll buy the product. What is it that we are doing? I think, we have to go a long, long, long way if you have to change the whole system. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I thought I will just take one challenge part, which is to do with the placement. And what I thought was to submit to you is that to start with, yes, there is a certain amount of, I completely agree with what my good friend Professor Xavier talked about. There is a fair amount of mistrust among all. But hopefully it will go away. Okay, so let us be positive. What happens is that some people keep saying that, look, US and Germany industry and academia work so close, why it is not happening? We just have to allow a phase. So just because I work all the time with software industry, software industry, they keep talking about the 5-stage model of SEI, level 1, level 2, level 3, level 4, level 5. So I thought that I will use the same stuff. So it actually has to go through 5 levels. And we have to recognize that these things happen one after other, doesn't happen one day. That is the key I want. To a large extent, most of the time, academia, industry, exchange, partnership, interaction, all that it means is what I call buyer-seller relationship. You are producing some students, and I want them because I want people for workforce, and whichever place gives me better bang for the buck, I go. So in some sense, only thing they care for is placement. The institutions care for placement, the students care for placement, industry care for placement, and of course you will find a huge advertisement from VIT, 6,923, and every student thinks it must be. Okay? It is important, okay? But it doesn't stop there. I want you to, okay? The next stage, what happens is, once the students join, and I am the manager, I kind of look at, the student from this institute is doing well. So next time, I go and tell the HR, go for sure and recruit from this college. Okay? So what happens is, it gets to what is called the first level of partnership. And then they also say that, look, can I get into the first day placement? And then they say that, look, can I also kind of go beyond? So now what happens is, it is not a one-day interaction, it is a little longer interaction. At least 2-3 days, maybe a cultural festival, a techno fest, or maybe a college stuff, and sometimes they attend the convocation, etc. The second stage. So what happens? It goes beyond one point interaction. The third stage, when they actually find that year after year, the students from an institution are doing well, that is the time when industry folks actually think that the students did not just like that come out of an institute. There are some people, some men and women who kind of work hard. Okay, they are called faculty members. They also matter. They also exist. And by fluke, they wouldn't have happened. And because it is happening year after year, they think, oh, we have to go beyond the student to the faculty. Then they start engaging the faculty, maybe a consulting, maybe a project, maybe a combination of things, maybe give them some labs, etc., etc. And that is the third stage where the interaction moves beyond a student to a faculty. And once that happens, you actually find that it takes about 5 to 10 years. And by the time there's a critical mass of students in a company, and they start influencing them, some of them become senior people, then you really look at genuine partnership. That is the time when they actually set up parks, industrial research parks, they set up centers of excellence. So the level at which you are taken is very, very different. That is the time when you can actually start making a huge impact of research. This includes also the defense laboratories. He talked about California State, etc. You actually find defense establishments setting up billions of dollars of worth of equipment inside. Okay, my own institute, HP, actually has a lab. It's interesting. Inside the lab, they have a private connect to a lab in France, so the students are actually working on tools which are commercial products. So there is an NDA and there is a kind of access control. Even I don't have an access. I'm head of the institute. Okay. Of course, the faculty member will not going to stop me, but I have to take the access from them. And the students also know that while they were talking to them in the dormitory or in the cafeteria, okay, so they may be the thickest of friends, they may even be boyfriends and girlfriends, but they shall not discuss anything. That is the level of confidentiality which you have to do. That kind of comfort comes. And finally comes the final partnership. You will find some of them coming on your board and some of the faculty members going on their board. Okay? And that is how companies like HP was formed. That is how companies like Sun was created. Okay? So I think what we really need to do is, maybe institutionally we have to really look at where are we. And it may actually vary from company to company. For one company, I may be at level 1. For some other company, I may be at level 2. And we have to keep creating, because we have to keep doing it, because some companies may fold up, some companies may fall off. But you need to have a healthy mix of, I would say, about 20 to 50 companies for a meaningful interaction. Then only you can genuinely talk of industry-academia interaction. Otherwise, it becomes a nice buyer-seller relationship. And this depth is something which people should kind of get into. And this is not just by having a placement office with nice plush offices. Okay? It has to go much deeper. And some of these things will come up to the Vice Chancellor. Some of these things happen at the faculty level. Some will happen at the dean's level. Some will happen at the student level. So we need to support the whole thing. And maybe at some point in time, our survey people will also kind of see how they can plot what is the level at which industry-academia partnership exists among different institutions. I just thought that I will share this. I hope that there is some value in it. Thank you. Thanks for the opportunity.
Good evening. I appreciate the efforts being made by Sri Raghav Mittal, Ravi Pokan and their team in bringing out discussions like this and focusing on the actual problems being faced by various engineering institutions in the country, and try to see that some of these are overcome, or perhaps some policy decisions are taken at the highest level to see that some improvements are brought out. With respect to our experience in the Jawaharlal Nehru Technological University, Anantapur, and particularly with respect to the Andhra Pradesh state, I would like to mention that the problems being the challenges that are there for the technical education is, as mentioned previously also, say the governance of, from the government side, from the bodies like AICT, UGC, etc. Many people know very well, so how much good is done or bad is done, and so on. But we end up now with respect to worrying about the quality in technical education and the impact on the society and various aberrations that we see in the field of technical education. No doubt, a lot of mentioned about improving the graduate enrollment ratio. We compare the figures with US, China, and say that our population is large, but GER is very much less, and therefore we need hundreds and thousands of universities and lakhs of engineering colleges, and AICT contributes its own might in reaching out to those figures. But what is worrying is about the problems that we come across or the challenges. Say, mostly the challenge is with respect to, from the government side, if you see, say, due to some populistic measures being taken in our state, say with respect to the fees reimbursement, and it is very faithfully being followed by other politicians in other states, so resulting in chaotic conditions with respect to the technical education or the education by and large. Say it may be with some good intention, but in implementation, if we see, these impacts have to be studied very well. So on one side, say the government will not be able to set up the required number of institutions ensuring quality. So therefore, private players have to come and they must be encouraged, and then only will be able to meet the say the challenges, improving the graduate enrollment ratio, etc. But at the same time, if the government ties the hands and legs and asks them to run, then it will not be possible. So the government puts a ceiling with respect to the fee structure, but at the same time expects the private institutions to achieve very high quality education. And so this kind of problems, and the teachers have to be paid good salaries, but at the same time, the income sources are crushed or say totally nullified. So these kind of problems are the ones which are affecting the quality of education. Therefore, a rational thinking has to be done. So no, let there be encouragement for the other private players also, and on a more realistic way, say without putting hurdles or hindrances, and try to ask them to reach the goals. So perhaps we have many such models in Western countries also, wherein no doubt the AICT says that finally the quality measures, or only those players who can maintain quality will survive, but at what price? Say during that process, say if we allow many institutions to die down, then the investment that has gone into such institutions and the teachers and students depending on those institutions, so all those conditions have to be considered. So without affecting to all in such aspects, say in a fair way, taking the better models, the implementation can be done. There can be, so we should also welcome in that aspect, say challenge the private universities from other countries also, wherein there will be healthy competition and level playing field should be there. So let the fittest person survive, or the institution survive. So that way the quality will be ensured. And from our side, say with respect to university, though many such challenges are there, problems are there, due to some bureaucratic rules, or say the admission process. If you compare with the industry, for a quality product to come out, the raw material should also be of good quality. So with inferior quality raw materials, no industry can produce very high quality product. And you cannot say the institutions are like, say polishing, if some raw diamond is there, some carat value is there, by polishing we can improve the carat value of that particular diamond. But if you give a stone and say that diamond should come out, it cannot be done. So that way some policies have to be changed so that a more realistic level playing field is maintained, and let there be competition from all sides, even from abroad. Encourage private universities and foreign universities, let there be competition, and then the best will come out. So that way, to keeping that particular aspect in mind, in our university particularly, we are encouraging some institutions which are doing well, which are with some strict regulations like 10 years of existence, good faculty with satisfying the norms of AICTE, our university, qualified faculty, the experience and so on. And even we are encouraging certain departments in certain colleges to have research being taken up also, not only just BTech and MTech programs, but also full-time PhD programs. So certain departments which have got good senior professors, some professors after retiring from service from IITs and NITs, they join to serve the institutions and level. So where such senior professors are there, and the departments which have got projects from funding agencies like DST, UGC, etc., they are recognized as research centers and encouraged to take up full-time research. So that way, some good colleges, some colleges and certain departments are doing well, very well on the research front also, not only at the undergraduate level teaching and also postgraduate level teaching. So that way, there are many problems, challenges are there, but by encouraging, by having a realistic administrative view and encouraging them to compete on a healthy aspect, we can bring out quality education. Thank you for giving me this opportunity. I will stop at this point.
Respected panelists, most respected resourceful participants, it is indeed a privilege to me to address this auspicious gathering. First of all, I wish to congratulate Engineering Watch for this venture and their collaboration. So I have one doubt. So the relationship between industry and institution, that is to be considered. We are producing technocrats, engineers, and different category of persons as output of different institutions. Then the linkage between industry and institution is very important. That is to be considered. The product from an institution should be suitable to an industry. So there must be some tie-up. If selection procedure is over and after getting a degree from an institution, then the output of that institution is to be absorbed by the industry. There is a question. Nowadays we are focusing on this technology for software. I think so, software technology system. Every institution is focusing to get an opportunity in software area. So there will be some competition between software industries also. And at the same time, if we are getting some opportunity, I do agree. My son and daughter is also in the software area. I know the possibility, the existing situation, etc. But I'm afraid if we are focusing, majority of our energy is focusing to this area alone, then what will happen in future? It is only a doubt to me. No, I am not focusing that area, but there is some doubt. And the research is going on in every field, every area. But actually the research is for a research to get a doctoral degree. How many are focusing on this research area, dedicated research in universities, in Indian universities? But in outside India, they are focusing on for research to get some idea about a novel product or some new idea, etc., etc. That is going on. 24% of the contribution of worldwide contribution is from India, but it is only 2% in India by the Indians. So that is the situation. So we should think about this. At the same time, the quality of product is another question. The Chinese products are here. Within a short span of time, India may be a dump yard of these Chinese products, low quality products. It is my concern. We can discuss. It may or may not be correct. I am not fully aware about this, but it's a concern. then tie-up with all institutions in India is necessary. As an example, suppose JNU and another University of Kerala or otherwise Mysore University, there must be some linkage. But we are always thinking about tie-up of outside universities, outside India, training programs, etc., etc. But we don't know what type of syllabus is going on in JNU or otherwise in another Madras University or otherwise in a university in Kerala or etc., etc. So some sort of linkage inside India is to be established. The syllabi or otherwise examination system and the contents, etc., etc., may be considered. And autonomous institutions are growing, but in Kerala nowadays, the government institutions are not ready to accept autonomy. What is the reason? What is the reason? They don't know. They are afraid of autonomy. So it will adversely affect the teachers or otherwise other staff, etc., etc. So we are in an infant stage. Autonomous system is very good. Then we have some academic autonomy, suppose. Then we can frame syllabus, we can conduct examinations, and on the basis of the need of the industry or the present situation, we can frame all these things. That may be a plus point, I think so. But in Kerala, in my state, there is so many opposition. So many objections are raised by teachers and other class of people. Then political scenario is also not ready to accept fully. So it is based on academy or academic exercise, but political interference is too much there. That is also going on. So this is to be addressed. And restructuring of syllabus is necessary. At the same time, dedicated faculty service and exchange of faculty in India. Then one professor from JNU can visit a particular institution in Kerala for 7 days or 10 days, and another professor from Kerala should go there at Delhi and take classes, and there may be some exchange program. Students can also be invited. The expenditure may be very minimum because don't think about the collaborations or otherwise tie-up is along with the external outside universities, outside Indian universities. So that may be okay, I do agree. At the same time, we should know our wealth and our resource and our caliber, etc. And some sort of exchange is to be promoted. Private-public participation is another PPP model. Is the reality, actually. But government institutions are not ready to accept the situation. University Grants Commission is ready to accept the situation. But at the same time, state governments are not ready to accept the situation. So, if the situation is going on, then the VIT may get more amount from University Grants Commission, other engineering institutions, or private institutions, maybe as a forerunner, they will get more fund from University Grants Commission, etc. So, it may be a change to the present situation. The government colleges or aided colleges will, in a particular situation, trouble. So there is another thing, another point. The lack of values and ethics that is already said by my colleague. So there is an important aspect. Values and ethics, competition. Everybody is everywhere competition. Then we are competing. At the same time, we are not competing ourselves. What is inside our heart? Then crisis management or self-management may be the most important management point that is to be considered. If we are facing a crisis, what is to be done? And how to manage himself, how to manage herself. How we can or I can or you can manage if a situation arises. So the management system may be framed to focus on this area also. So during the discussion time with the resourceful learned participants, we can address again on these topics or points or in a particular area. I am not taking too much time. So these are concerns then for discussions. So thank you very much for your patient hearing. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Distinguished guests, I will give a perspective from an industry focused on providing solutions for higher education perspective. The problems addressed by all the panelists here are prevalent, and having worked with several countries and geographies, it is almost similar in even those geographies. So I'll give a perspective from that aspect, and also give an indication in terms of how IT solutions are being used to address some of these. Change is the only constant, and the change is happening rapidly in India. So rapidly that it is changing the complete demand curve, and demand definition is changing in a rapid pace. Let's talk about those 4 constituents important in this particular industry or the universities. The first is the industry, the second is the university, the third is the academia, the fourth is the students itself. What is changing? Industries market has completely changed. The demand has completely changed. We are seeing the impact of IT industry already happening to this whole market situation in India. Academia, the way we educate people is completely changing. Again, undergoing drastic changes. The aspect of education is changing. Universities, today one of the major concerns is attracting, retaining, nurturing students, faculties, and interaction with the industry, interaction with the government policy makers and so on. And also the research and investment in terms of research and participation in some of those joint research activities. Students, students' requirements are completely changing. Their access to technology, access to information is completely changing. For example, access to edX, the MIT courses, what they can actually take, gives them a very different perspective of how an engineering education can be imparted to them. In our interactions with many of the vice chancellors, many of the industry leaders, what we constantly argue or discuss is about how IT solutions can actually help them resolve some of these issues. What you cannot measure, you cannot optimize. So essentially, for example, in a university situation, outcome-based research, we talked about outcome-based research. You need a system that will help you, understand the health of the research itself and see how the outcome is, impacting the industry, impacting the citizens, impacting the overall economy itself. So there are systems you need that monitors constantly and gives you this reports that can be used to change the way you conduct research and so on. Today, April 23rd, you will see iWatch being released. There are many universities across the globe which have encouraged their students to write new applications, for example, health monitoring applications on an iWatch. So it's going to again bring in another transformation like what iPhone brought into the industry, where you will see a lot of such inventors coming onto the field and then trying to make a change. iWatch will make a change, and there are a lot of universities already engaging in that perspective. Academia, in terms of 360-degree view of their performance itself and their interaction with their students and so on. Universities are using student performance analytics to really see what they are keen on, what their interests are, and rather help them actually achieve their passion rather than force them on to get a particular score and so on. Again, from a student perspective, for him or her, the most important thing today is that for them to achieve their passion more than what they really are forced to do. Today, there are systems available where you can really understand what the interest levels of the students are and help them move on to those kind of paradigms, help them achieve those activities. IT can play an important role in terms of integrating the end-to-end aspect right from the whole of the student life cycle and bring a healthy participation, collaboration as well as competition in the whole aspect of the industry today. That's where I would leave the argument.
So all the panelists have really given a vivid description of the key challenges which the higher education system is facing through. I would now leave the forum open to the audience to put up their comments and questions to the panel, and then we can close this deliberation with the closing remarks, please.
Good evening, sir. I'm Professor S. Deshpande from Gupta Institute of Technology, Belgaum. I'm from an affiliated institute affiliated to Vishweshwarya Technology University. One of the major challenges or the issues which we see on various platforms and forums is with regard to the preparedness of the students. Most of the time the industries say that the students are not properly taught or the technical concepts are not good. Many times we find the same kind of comment from the teachers. The students are very casual, they are not attending the classes, though we tease them, though we try to get them involved into the academics, they are not very serious about it. So we see all these kind of comments all the time. Could be the generation gap or could be some other reason. But I have a personal, maybe a kind of an observation or opinion in this regard. I personally feel that the way we assess the students is very important. End of the day, the students would be preparing for the examinations, they would like to get a good score. And if we have the examination system where they are being assessed for the describe, explain, answer 5 out of 8, no assessment of their understanding, no assessment with regard to their, the total focus that they could get into the assignment. If it is not done, how they could be prepared? I take the thread from Professor Xavier. He said the way the students are prepared in the campuses abroad, they work on some live assignments, they get involved into it, and the assessment is done based on their involvement and the understanding. Of course, it's a bit difficult to implement this concept in the affiliated systems, but the autonomous and the deemed to be universities or the universities, yes, positively they could do it. But how this issue could be addressed?
Maybe from the panel, any answers, comments?
Of course, you have answered. You've raised an issue and you answered that. Yeah, primarily, I mean, are we teaching what is relevant for him? I think that's the question you had asked. Today, the problem is we are teaching something which was developed 20 years back, and then industry has moved on. So he doesn't see a relevance. That's number one. Second thing is we are in a Google age, where the student can find a solution. We have a person from Google, so a former employee of Google. So we were just talking a little while ago. Google has changed the way actually we learn. So I mean, traditionally we had a just-in-case learners. Today we have just-in-time learners. So the just-in-time learner, he's not interested. If you tell him, 20 years from now this concept will be useful. So today you study it. Why the hell I should learn all those nonsense? I can always Google it when I need it. So I think we need to rethink. Should we really have a 4-year engineering course? In my view, 1 year is enough. So 1 year, if I can give him little liberal arts, introduce him to basic concepts. Next 3 years, put him as an intern in some company. He will Google, he will keep on learning. Create an interest, allow him to learn, and learning is lifelong. There is no question of this kind of 3 year, 1 year, etc. So we need to rethink a lot of things. Fundamentally, are we ready to do that? In the absence of all of that, of course, the Western models are good. So you tie up with the industry and then teach something which is relevant for the industry. That's the only way to immediately solve the problem. Thanks.
Good evening. Good evening, everybody. I'm Air Commodore Matthew. I am the Command Technical Training Officer of the Indian Air Force Training Command at Bangalore. First of all, thank you for calling us over here. I heard the first initiating speaker saying that education is an industry. I have a different thought on this. My father, he's a cancer surgeon. He's still alive. He's 86 years old. He made a statement in 1974 when my eldest brother wanted to go for medicine. He said, "My dear son, when I joined medicine in 1948, it used to be called as medical service. And today, it is a business. When you say industry, it is business, commercial." So he didn't allow my brother and none of our wards to join medicine. I am an engineer by profession. So is it right calling education an industry? I feel it should be. See, the first speaker, he spoke about ethos and ethics. Unless we have that mentality that it's a service, that ethos and ethics will never come. Is my opinion.
Thanks for bringing out that important dimension. There are two ways of looking at this. So you can look at it as a commercial proposition or a social proposition.
So in India, for a very long time, it was health and education was always the government's responsibility. But then governments were not able to provide, far, because they don't have that kind of, money, deep pockets to invest on these. So they opened it to the private. So today, whether you like it or not, it has become an industry. So this is one part of it. To balance that, there are government institutions and they are trying to offer it. So you have this dual pricing, dual mechanism, which is operating in this country. Now the issue is, you have Munchal University, you have, HCL University, you have Topper University. You name it, all corporates are there in the education system. Now the Reliance will come, I think they're already there, and then this is something you cannot escape. Because the people see it as a huge opportunity to invest in education. And education has to move to the next level. If that has to happen, you need lots of investment. So naturally companies like campus management, others, there's a huge amount of research that is happening on the IT part of education. How do you bring in IT into education? All that is commercial in nature, so naturally there is a commercial dimension that is coming up. But it's very difficult. I mean, ideally I would like to see it as a social thing, but in reality, I think, we have to accept the fact that it is an industry, and that's how it's going to operate for.
At least we should accept the fact that
we have to accept.
the dilution will happen.
It is, yeah. So to set an IIM, government spends 1,000 crores, right? Whereas a private party, with 50 crores, they are setting up a full university. And this 50 crores they are able to take out in a matter of 1 year. So government is not immediately looking for returns on that. They can provide that kind of a quality, that kind of faculty, they can pay well. But that's the issue. But can government set up everywhere the IIMs and IITs? So we have to leave it to private enterprise. And the private enterprise, obviously they are used to, for example, starting a college, advertising, they get students, and from the capitation fee, they build the lab, build everything, and then they don't make even a penny investment. So this is the model in which, because it's an industry, it is a commercial venture. It's not a social venture. So this will prevail. I think unless you have a very enlightened government which says, I'll use technology and make quality education available to everybody at an affordable cost, and then say that no more of private. So it's a long way to go.
Good evening. Here, I have an observation. I am Dr. Mahesh Kumar. I am the director of St. Peter's University in Chennai. See, all of you have spoken, and I have observed that it's an industry. There are many number of universities, many number of engineering colleges, and higher education is growing. What is it that we are doing to improve the quality of the faculty? I think there should be an effort, as somebody has pointed out about ethics as far as students are concerned. Now, most of the people sitting here would definitely agree that there is a drop in the quality of the education level. Technology might have improved over the last 50 years, but gradually, over the last 30 years, the quality of the engineers that are coming out, there is definitely, according to me at least, there is some drop. And these are the people who are now becoming faculty. So how do we equip our faculty in these days? This is I think it is a challenge, a key challenge. I would like your observations about that.
See, I will put it at 3 levels. See, at one level, teaching used to have what I call indecent salary, indecently low. I think the last pay commission ensured it is not indecently low. It is low, but it's okay. So it is not okay. So that was the biggest problem. In fact, you actually find last 5 years, things have improved. The second thing is, okay, with no disrespect to women, at least because I deal with more boys, okay? So at least what I learn is that, okay, if a boy becomes a teacher, no girl wants to get married to him. That's a genuine problem. It's a social acceptance. Social acceptance is quite low. So that is our second thing, okay? And to some extent it was related to salary, because I deal with mostly with IT folks, IIT, IIM folks, people who are well paid, corporate, but they go to job, it's not. So that's because of the salary, second one is happening. The third one is one area where I have a big grouse again, private universities. Because unfortunately, private universities, their internal governance is so bad. I know head of the department will ask somebody to go and teach a course for which he is not even trained. If you don't, you are fired. I can tell you, I actually some students came back to me and said, sir, we want to do some social stuff. For 2 years, we want to go and teach. I sent them to some of the private colleges because at least the pay was good, etc. And the horror stories I hear, there is absolutely no governance in private institutions. At least the ones which I know. I have no idea how it is. With people like Xavier there, it will be very different. But I'm just saying not everywhere we have Xaviers, right? I think if these three things are taken care of, but let us not be under the false impression the youngsters don't want to take teaching. The pay is decent, if the governance is good, if the social acceptance, they will become teachers and they will become outstanding teachers. See, once you attract good people, automatically they will be great. Right? The need to attract good people is a challenge.
I am saying that we need to attract good people and ensure that they are trained also. Shouldn't we think in terms of training them? Shouldn't there be some faculty development, not just programs, something?
See,
I
tell you, luckily what happens is that, some of these things, I tell you, people used to ask us, what does it make? I used to teach for 17 years at IIT Kanpur. So people used to say, what does it make a difference to be teaching in IITs? I said, the answer was very simple. Every day you walk into a classroom, by the time you come back, you are bruised all over. Because kids ask very hard questions. Right? What is good is, you don't stop there. You lick your wound and work hard, prepare. Next day morning, you give an answer. And then you will find, at least in Kanpur, the typical chaste Hindi, oh, banda ka, saale ko kuch aata hai. Okay, so I tell you, they will accept that you know it. I tell you, that is the greatest pleasure which an IIT faculty enjoy every day. Right? I think that is what, and the reason is that a lot of these things, if you have good students, and as long as you're willing to learn, you constantly learn. And that is the reason why we just love to teach at whatever age you are. Because every day is a learning experience. And jokingly, we tell that kids at the end and the graduation day, you guys paid fee, and in the process we got our salary to teach. For next to 40 years, you teach us without a fee. And that's what every one of them keep doing to us all through our life. Because every one of them is my teacher.
Actually, there arise certain difference. The theory, we are very much learned theory in Google search or otherwise, some other methods is available. At the same time, practical experience of the students are very less. That is the first point that is to be discussed. So, in other universities outside India, practical experience is more than that of theoretical experience. So, there is the difference. And the words and deeds are different. We are ready to speak in certain area, definitely, but at the practical side, it is less. So only Mahatma Gandhi, my life is my message, that is the word. So it is an erosion of ethics and values from human life that is to be addressed. Then teaching post is a novel post. And before this technological development, especially the software, etc., majority of these students are ready to go for teaching. But there is, sir already said, the remuneration in that area, that is another point. Then the first point, then the first class students are ready to go for IIM, IIT or otherwise medicine or engineering, etc., etc. And the second class or third class students are coming for MDech or otherwise then post-graduation, etc., etc., than that of this professional degree. And they are teaching the students. So the quality of teachers coming to that field compared to the first grade, second grade, etc. So it's a recent trend. But before 40 years or 30 years, etc., then the trend is different. Majority of the first class students are coming for teaching without considering the remuneration. So that's a shift that is to be addressed.
Yeah. I would like to comment upon the duration of the course, which Professor Xavier wanted to bring it down to 1 year. I don't think that kind of change can be brought in short time. When I did engineering, it was a 5-year course, and 2 or 3 years later, it had become 4-year course. Yes, but with the technology available, yes, it is possible to reduce the duration. But what I would recommend is, or suggest is that the 4-year course, maybe in the institution, they can be there for 3 years. And the 4th year, you send out to them to the industry. And after that, they should be brought back to the institution, assessed, then only give them the degree. That way, we can practically ensure that the product which is coming out of an institution in a certain engineering field is certainly equipped to handle the situations in the industry. Thank you.
Can I add to that one? Basically, a lot of such experiments are going on now. In the MBA education, Times Group has started a program where they got all the industry people to come together, and then they have designed the course, designed the curriculum, and in which they spend the first year of their MBA in a university system. Second year they are with the respective companies, and they get absorbed by these companies. So slowly, they are moving towards more of internship, more of practical things, and then less of this theory. So you will have to, work towards that kind of applied, practical, more kind of, useful courses. So things have to change, which means you have to think of a revised curriculum, revised models.
That's true. The course duration in the college or university, not only they are learning engineering or technology, it also gives some life skills, how to interact with others and things like that. You have to give them that much space for development of those skills.
Sure. That's a good point.
Actually, Professor Iswailuswamy, I'm from Annamalai University, sir. I want to make one point. The ranking of the university or colleges, the higher education for, can you just highlight me that how you are ranking it as a college? Say the colleges are in different location, different area. And not only that, the input of that college or university will be totally different. Like Sir said, the diamond is an input, when you polish it, it will come. We can market very easily. But something, like a stone, you have to make a sculpture or something like that. So that's difficult. And selling it also difficult. And so on. So, what are the mode of thinking? This aspect really you are incorporating while you are just ranking, sir. Another thing is, mainly the funding, the universities or colleges in some rural area. Yes. The funds all that, with reachability, so many aspects are there. You cannot just compare with IITs or NITs or some other universities in cities or rural area. Can you just highlight this, please?
Thanks, Acha. I think we would close this session. It has been a wonderful interaction. I would request a special guest this evening, Mr. Connor Gray, who is the Chief Strategy Officer with the Campus Management Corp, to thank the panelists on the dais by presenting them a stole. I would request Connor to please to Professor M.J. Xavier. Yeah. Come. Just get. I request Mr. Gray to present the stole to Professor K. Lal Kishore. Professor S. Sadgopan, who has really enlightened us with the really 5 level of industry academy interaction, a real framework to really look upon. And finally to Professor Dr. M.C. Dilip Kumar, the Honorable Vice Chancellor of Sri Shankaracharya University. I would thank all the panelists to give their enlightened remarks on this panel.